His is not a tale spun from imagination, not a whisper of myth, not a conjecture of dreamers, but a revelation buried in the shadows of time, a secret so profound it was meant to remain forever sealed. In the spring of 1954, in a quiet room at Princeton, Albert Einstein, the titan of science, the unraveling of the cosmos, sat with a single student, not in a lecture hall, not before a crowd, but in solitude, his voice low, his eyes heavy with the weight of truths unspoken. This was no ordinary conversation, no exchange of formulas, no discourse on relativity, but a confession, a testament recorded in secret, its existence denied by those who guard the gates of knowledge. Hidden in a cassette, locked away in a forgotten archive, it lay dormant until 2025, when the tape surfaced, its words crackling with a truth that could reshape the world's understanding of life, of death, of what lies beyond. The room was dim, the air thick with the scent of old books, the faint hum of a distant clock marking moments that seemed to stretch beyond time. Einstein, his hair white, his face etched with the lines of a life spent chasing the universe's secrets, leaned forward, his hands clasped, his gaze piercing yet soft. The student, young, earnest, unaware of the weight of the moment, held a recorder, its reels turning silently, capturing words that would be silenced for decades. This was not planned, not orchestrated, not meant for the world's ears, yet fate had other designs. Einstein spoke, not as a professor, not as a genius, but as a man standing at the edge of existence, his voice steady, his words deliberate, as if he knew the tape would one day find light. It began with a question, simple, direct, yet vast. What do you believe happens after death? The student's voice trembled, not from fear, not from doubt, but from the audacity of asking a mind like Einstein to peer beyond the veil. A pause followed, long, heavy, the kind that holds the weight of eternity. Einstein smiled, not with amusement, not with dismissal, but with the quiet certainty of one who has seen beyond the equations. Belief is a word for the uncertain, he said. I do not believe, I know. The student froze, his breath caught, his mind racing to grasp the gravity of those words. Einstein leaned back, his eyes drifting to the window, where the twilight painted the sky in hues of fading gold, as if the universe itself listened. He spoke of a secret, not one he sought, not one he chased, but one that found him in the silent hours of contemplation, in the labyrinth of his calculations. The world knows my work, relativity, energy, mass. But there is another truth, he said. One I have kept hidden, not from shame, not from fear, but from duty. Science is a tool, sharp, precise, yet blind to what lies beyond its reach. The student listened, his heart pounding, as Einstein's voice grew softer, more urgent. What I'm about to share is not hypothesis, not theory, but certainty, forged in the crucible of my mind, tempered by the patterns of the cosmos. Life does not end with death. It transforms, it continues, it returns. Albert Einstein, in this fleeting moment, stood not as a scientist, not as a legend, but as a messenger, his words a bridge between the known and the unknown. The tape hissed, the room grew still, the world outside unaware of the revelation unfolding. This was the beginning, the first step into a truth too vast, too dangerous, too beautiful to be spoken lightly. And if you listen, if you let the noise of doubt fall away, you might hear it too, that whisper of eternity, that promise of light, waiting beyond the veil, calling you to know, to see, to become. In the quiet room at Princeton, where the air held the weight of secrets, where the faint glow of twilight seeped through the window, Albert Einstein's voice wove a thread of truth, not bound by the laws of physics, not confined by the limits of flesh, but soaring into the vast unknown. The student, his recorder humming softly, his eyes wide with awe, listened as the man who unraveled the cosmos spoke of a revelation, not born of telescopes, not derived from equations, but forged in the silent depths of understanding. This was no lecture, no discourse on relativity, no exploration of stars, but a testament to the eternal, a glimpse into the mystery of life after death. A truth Einstein had guarded, not from doubt, not from fear, but from the world's unreadiness to hear. He leaned forward, his hands tracing invisible patterns in the air, as if drawing the universe itself. Science, he said, is a map, precise, beautiful, yet incomplete. It charts the rivers of matter, the mountains of energy, but it stumbles in the valleys of consciousness. The student held his breath, sensing the shift, the moment when the familiar gave way to the profound. Einstein's eyes, sharp, searching, seemed to pierce the veil of reality. My work, relativity, quantum mechanics, revealed the dance of particles, the bend of time, but there is another truth, he continued, one hidden in the paradoxes, one whispered in the silence between calculations. Consciousness, the observer, the spark that sees the universe, is not a shadow of matter. It is primary. It is eternal. He spoke of quantum mysteries, not as riddles, not as puzzles, but as keys, unlocking doors science dared not open. The entanglement of particles, linked across vast distances, defying space, defying time, is no mere anomaly, he said. It is a hint, a clue to the nature of existence. If particles can be bound beyond the barriers of physics, why not consciousness? Why not the essence of who we are? The student's mind reeled, his notes forgotten, as Einstein's voice grew steady, certain, like a river carving stone. Consciousness is a field, not local, not tethered to the brain, but vast, infinite, woven into the fabric of the cosmos. The brain is but a vessel, a receiver, tuning into the signal of the soul, and when the body falls, the signal does not fade. It shifts. It continues. Einstein paused, his gaze drifting to the window, where the stars began to pierce the dusk, each a silent witness to his words. Death, he said, is not an end, it is a transition, a change in frequency, like a note passing from one instrument to another. The music remains, the melody endures. The student felt a chill, not from cold, not from fear, but from the weight of realization, as if the room itself expanded to hold the truth. Einstein's voice softened, yet burned with conviction. I have seen this, not with eyes, not with instruments, but with the clarity of thought, with the patterns of the universe. The paradoxes of quantum physics, the superpositions, the instant connections all point to one truth. Consciousness is not born of matter. It shapes matter, it outlives matter. Albert Einstein, in this sacred moment, stood not as a scientist, not as a sage, but as a guide, his words a lantern in the darkness of the unknown. The recorder captured each syllable, each pause, as if the tape itself knew the gravity of what it held. This was not the end, not the whole, but a step deeper, a door opened to the eternal. The student sat, motionless, his heart echoing the question unasked. What does this mean for us, for life, for death? And if you listen, if you let the clamor of the world fade, you might feel it too, that truth, that signal, pulsing through the cosmos, whispering of a journey that never ends, a light that never dies. In the hushed room at Princeton, where the stars outside gleamed like silent sentinels, where the recorder's soft hum wove a thread through the stillness, Albert Einstein's voice carried a weight beyond words, a truth beyond formulas, a glimpse into the eternal that stirred the soul. The student, his eyes fixed on the man who had bent time itself, felt the air grow heavy, not with tension, not with doubt, but with the presence of something vast, something sacred. Einstein, his hands still, his gaze distant yet piercing, moved beyond the realm of science, beyond the cold precision of equations, into a confession, not of theory, not of proof, but of experience, a moment when the veil of death parted, revealing the unbroken light of life after death. He spoke slowly, deliberately, as if each word were a step into uncharted lands. There was a night, he said, not long ago, when the world slept, when my mind, weary from calculations, sought not answers, not solutions, but silence. In that silence, I found something, not a vision, not a dream, but a knowing, a connection to what I can only call a space of consciousness. The student leaned closer, his breath shallow, his heart caught in the gravity of the moment. Einstein's voice softened, yet burned with clarity. I felt my thoughts expand, not confined by skull, not bound by flesh, but free, touching a realm where time dissolved, where space was but a whisper. It was not a place, not a destination, but a state, a vastness where every soul, every spark of life was linked not by matter, not by force, but by essence. He described it, not with flourish, not with grandeur, but with the precision of a mind trained to see truth. I saw no forms, no faces, yet I felt them, countless presences, not distant, not separate, but near, woven into a tapestry of light. Each thread a life, each pulse a story. The student's hands trembled, his recorder forgotten. As Einstein continued, I understood, not with reason, not with logic, but with certainty, that death is no barrier, no end. It is a shift, a return to this space, this connection. The body falls, the mind quiets, yet the consciousness, the observer, remains, not diminished, not lost, but alive, resonant, eternal. Einstein's eyes, now alight with a fire the student had never seen, seemed to hold the cosmos itself. In that moment, he said, I knew the universe is not a machine, not a chaos, but a symphony, and we, each of us, are notes, playing our part, returning to the whole. The student felt a warmth, not from the room, not from the lamp, but from the words, as if they carried the echo of that space, that light. Einstein's voice grew quieter, almost a whisper. I felt my own life, not as memories, not as events, but as choices, as love, as truth, all woven into this tapestry, not judged, not weighed, but understood, embraced, eternal. Albert Einstein, in this fleeting confession, stood not as a scientist, not as a legend, but as a witness, his words a bridge to a truth too vast for books, too deep for formulas. The recorder whirred, capturing the silence that followed, as if the room itself held its breath. This was no end, no conclusion, but a doorway, a step into the heart of the mystery. The student sat, his mind racing, his soul stirred, sensing the question unasked. What does this mean for me, for us, for the journey beyond? And if you pause, if you let the world's clamor fade, you might feel it too, that space, that connection, that light, pulsing through the stars, whispering through the ages, calling you to know, to touch, to be. In the shadowed room at Princeton, where the stars outside whispered secrets older than time, where the recorder's faint whir held the weight of eternity, Albert Einstein's voice wove a tapestry of truth, not bound by the limits of science, not tethered to the fleeting pulse of life, but reaching into the boundless mystery of what lies beyond. The student, his heart a silent drum, his eyes locked on the man who had reshaped the cosmos, felt the air shimmer, not with heat, not with light, but with the presence of a revelation too vast to hold, too profound to name. Einstein, his face a map of years, his gaze a bridge between worlds, spoke not of theories, not of proofs, but of the journey after death. A journey he had glimpsed, not with eyes, not with instruments, but with the clarity of a mind that had touched the infinite. This was no lecture, no hypothesis, but a vision, a map of life after death, drawn in the language of the soul. He leaned forward, his voice steady yet soft, as if sharing a secret the universe itself guarded. Death, he said, is not a wall, not a void, not an end, but a shift, a change in frequency, like a wave returning to the ocean, like a note rising to join the symphony. The student's breath caught, his mind struggling to grasp the weight of those words, as Einstein continued. When the body falls, when the heart stills, the consciousness, the essence, does not vanish, it moves, it transforms, it becomes. He described a realm not of clouds, not of harps, but of energy, a field vast, vibrant, alive, where every soul, every spark of awareness finds its place, not by decree, not by judgment, but by the truth of its own light. This field, he said, is not uniform, not singular, but layered, like the colors of a prism, each layer a reflection of how one lived, how one loved, how one sought. Those who lived for truth, for compassion, for the good of others, their consciousness rises, not to a throne, not to a crown, but to a state of harmony, a light so pure it merges with the source, the eternal ocean of awareness. The student felt a warmth, not from the room, not from the lamp, but from the vision, as if the light Einstein described reached through his words. Yet, Einstein's voice grew solemn. Those bound by fear, by selfishness, by the chains of power, their light dims, not punished, not cast out, but heavy, drawn to layers of shadow where they wander, not in torment, not in fire, but in the echoes of their own choices, learning, growing, until they too can rise. He paused, his eyes tracing the stars beyond the window as if seeing those layers, those souls, in the vastness of the night. Some, he said, return, not forced, not compelled, but choosing, drawn by a longing to learn, to love, to heal. This is rebirth, not a cycle of suffering, not a trap, but a gift, a chance to weave new threads into the tapestry of existence. The student's mind spun, his thoughts a whirl of wonder, as Einstein's voice grew quieter, almost a whisper. Each soul's journey is its own, yet all are connected, all are one, in this field, this ocean, where time is but a ripple, where space is but a breath. The layers are not prisons, not rewards, but mirrors reflecting the heart's truth, guiding the soul to its becoming. Einstein's gaze returned to the student, his eyes alight with a fire both gentle and fierce. Death, he said, is not to be feared, it is a doorway, a return to the source, a moment when the veil falls and we see, not with eyes, not with mind, but with soul, who we are, who we have always been. The student sat, motionless, his recorder forgotten, his heart echoing the unspoken question. What does this mean for me, for us, for the path ahead? Einstein's words lingered, not as answers, not as dogma, but as a call, a reminder that life, death, all are part of one journey, one light. And if you listen, if you let the world's noise fade, you might see it too, that doorway, that ocean, that truth, waiting beyond the stars, calling you to live, to love, to shine. In the quiet room at Princeton, where the stars outside burned with silent wisdom, where the recorder's soft hum captured echoes of eternity, Albert Einstein's voice rose, not in triumph, not in proclamation, but in a gentle urgency, a final offering to a world yet to understand. The student, his heart a vessel for truths too vast to hold, his eyes fixed on the man who had seen beyond the cosmos, felt the air pulse, not with sound, not with motion, but with the weight of a message, a call to awaken, to live, to carry the light of what lies beyond death. Einstein, his face softened by years, his gaze a beacon across the divide of time, spoke not as a scientist, not as a sage, but as a soul nearing the threshold, his words a lantern for those still bound by flesh, a guide to the eternal journey unveiled in his revelation. This was no conclusion, no farewell, but a charge, a plea, a vision of life shaped by the truth of life after death. He leaned back, his hands resting, his voice steady, yet woven with a fire that seemed to draw the stars closer. The truth I have shared, he said, is not mine, not born of my mind alone, but glimpsed in the patterns of the universe, in the silence where questions become answers. Death is not the end, it is a return, a shift, a doorway to the light, but this truth is not enough, not complete, unless it changes how you live, how you love, how you see. The student's breath stilled, his recorder a silent witness as Einstein continued. The layers beyond, the ocean of consciousness, they wait for all. Yet what you bring to that journey, what you weave in this life, shapes the path, not as reward, not as punishment, but as truth, as reflection. He spoke of humanity, not as a distant mass, not as a concept, but as a web, each soul a thread, each choice a ripple. We stand at a crossroads, he said. Our tools grow sharper, our machines faster, yet our hearts falter. Our eyes see enemies where there are only mirrors. The student felt a chill, not from the night, not from the room, but from the warning, as Einstein's voice grew firm. If we do not see our connection, if we do not know we are one, we risk not just this world, but the journey beyond. For ignorance binds the soul, not to fire, not to chains, but to shadows of its own making. He paused, his eyes sweeping the room, as if addressing not one, but all. Live with compassion, live with truth. Let love be the frequency that carries you, for it is the only force that endures, the only light that shines in every layer, every realm. Einstein's gaze softened, his voice a whisper, yet piercing. I am old, my body fades, yet I feel no fear, only readiness, for I know the doorway is not an end, but a beginning, a chance to return, to merge, to be. He leaned forward, his words a gift. You who hear this, you who carry this truth, do not hoard it, do not hide it, but live it. Let it shape your days, your choices, your heart. The student's hands trembled, his soul stirred, as Einstein continued, "The question is not what awaits after death, but how you prepare for it now, how you answer the call to be light, to be love, to be whole." The recorder whirred, the night deepened, the stars seemed to nod in silent agreement. Albert Einstein, in this final moment, stood not as a giant of science, not as a voice of reason, but as a traveler, his words a map for those yet to cross the threshold. The room grew still, the air alive with the echo of his charge. Live not in fear, live in search. Live as if you know the light awaits. The student rose, his heart full, his mind alight, carrying a truth that would outlive the tape, outlive the years. And if you pause, if you let the world's clamor fade, you might hear it too, that call, that whisper, urging you to live boldly, to love deeply, to shine. For death is not a shadow, not a loss, but a doorway, a return, a light that never fades, a journey that never ends.